Good afternoon and welcome to the Jon DiVito Show. Oh my God, I'm back again. What's going on? I was kind of not around all summer, and now you get me twice in one day. You must all be feeling fortunate. You must all be counting your lucky stars. That's right. 2 shows of Jon DiVito ranting and raving and doing all the things that he does on a daily basis. And that's right. I'm even talking about myself in the third person. I am that friggin' cool. So anyway, 3:50 in the afternoon, and I've had a busy day of work, and I just need to blow off some steam. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We're going to round out this music and be back ready to talk. So everybody, welcome to the Jon DiVito Show. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Jon DiVito Show. Oh, that's right. I get laughter. Because I am that good. So anyway, hopefully everyone's having a great Tuesday. We're early in the week. You know, the week's moving along. Tomorrow's hump day. And, by the time I get to Wednesday, I'm always feeling pretty good. Monday's a rough day. Mondays, man, it's tough to be optimistic. It's tough to feel good. It's tough to feel that you're ever going to get to the end of the week. Ragin' Cajun, welcome to the show. So, it's Tuesday now. We're almost at hump day. Things are looking up. We're getting closer to the weekend, and I am pretty excited to keep moving this week along. But we're here in the middle of September, and like I've said before, I like the fall. I am a fall guy, and if you're in a warmer climate down south like Florida, New Orleans, possibly wherever, you probably don't get the extremes that we get here in New England weather-wise. But we've got those cold winter temperatures coming. They're right around the corner. It's pending doom for me. I can't forget that is out there. Hey, Spanky with beans and weenies. I've got a good story for you guys today. If you hang in there a little bit, I think you're going to like this and find it pretty funny. A couple good stories, actually. But anyway, things up here are going well. Here we are. We're still surviving in Joe Biden's America. We're here. We're doing our thing. We've got vaccine mandates. We've got, as I read in a story this morning, this still amazes me that the Boston public schools, now this is kind of crazy, but the Boston public schools, this year or this school year have had to literally bring in the National Guard to drive their buses. Can you imagine that? I mean, the Boston public schools, it's not like a New York City or a Los Angeles. Hey, Jess Duck, welcome to the show. But the Boston public schools brought in the National Guard to drive their buses because they don't have enough bus drivers to actually get the buses out and running and getting the kids to school. I mean, I have never in my life heard anything like that. That's crazy. I mean, imagine National Guard members getting on the bus and driving your children to school. Now, for me, I don't know how they find the bus routes. I mean, bus routes in Boston are pretty complicated. I can't even drive my car around the streets of Boston. I can't imagine trying to navigate a school bus down those crazy streets with the masshole drivers that we have in this area of the country. But we've got National Guard troops literally driving our children to school in the city of Boston because there are no bus drivers. So crazy stuff going on, man. I think we're all seeing stuff right now in this country that none of us have ever seen before. And, for me now, I work for a company in my, regular job, my real job where I put some food on the table. Podbean wouldn't do it or we'd all be starving to death. But, for us, for my company, we can't get materials. We can't get things to complete the products that we have. Everything's back ordered. People aren't manufacturing. We've seen the car lots out there where there are no new cars in the lots because we can't get chips for them. It's just, right, Jess? I mean, exactly. I mean, I've never in my life heard of the National Guard driving kids to school in a bus. I mean, is that not insanity? I have no idea what their duties are. But I mean, to me, that's crazy. I mean, there was one experience that we had one winter. I don't know, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, we had like literally 10 feet of snow during the month of February where I live. It was insane. My kids were literally sledding off the roof of our house onto the driveway. We had that much snow. We were buried. So that year, the National Guard did come into our town and they were removing snow and moving snow to new locations. So I get that because we literally couldn't see driving down the street. There was that much. So everybody coming in, Molly, Flying Ham, welcome to all you awesome people coming into my show. I appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. If you could, please follow me if you're new and share my live. That gets me engagement points, and it just kind of helps my show out a little bit. So if you guys could all share my live, I would greatly appreciate that. And if not, no worries. Don't worry about it. But now I got to tell you a couple of stories. Now, this story kind of creeped me out last night a little bit, all right? I've got to tell you this story, and then I've got another funny news story to follow that up with. So the first story I have to tell you is last night, I brought my son Ethan to work out at his baseball gym. They have a lifting gym near where I live that focuses on baseball players. So he goes to this 3 or 4 nights a week. And this gym is probably, 30 minutes from my house. So 30 minutes each way. It's an hour drive. He's only there for 2 hours. So I really can't go there and go home and then come back and go home again. That's like 2 hours of driving. So I generally go to his baseball gym. And I've talked about this before where I've left. Hey, Bells, welcome to the show. I've left the baseball gym and I drive over to the local Target, Lowe's, and I walk there. And that's where I've seen a lot of the homeless people that really upsets me. But that's not the point of the story tonight. So in between this gym and the Target where I go to walk, because that's what I was going to do last night, there is kind of like the housing projects of Worcester. And Worcester's the second biggest city in Massachusetts. And it's a pretty rough area. A lot of rough looking characters, just kind of a tough area, an area where some of the, the poorer families of Worcester live. And you feel bad going there. You see a lot of kids that are really up against it. So I decided to take last night my Corvette. I have a Corvette convertible. It's old, 2004. Bought it cheap, got it for like 14 grand a couple of years ago, and I just drive it for fun. I mean, it's nothing spectacular, but I enjoy driving the convertible. And it still looks nice for its age. It's like 15 years old, 20 years old, whatever it is. So anyway, I drive through this housing project on the way to Target so I could walk. And I see a bunch of like teenage girls, probably like 10 or 15 of them. They were hanging out in this playground, and they all like start looking at my car as I drove by, and that was cool. Whatever, you like the car, excellent. So I drive to the Target. I'm there for probably 45 minutes to an hour walking. All right, and this is where it gets kind of creepy. So I have to drive back through this housing project in order to get to the gym to pick up my son. So I'm driving back through this housing project, okay? And all of a sudden, I drive by this same group of girls. Now, keep in mind, I'm 53 years old. I'm an older guy. I'm a dad. If I had gotten married younger, I probably would be a grandfather by now, but I'm not. So I drive past this same parking lot or the same playground, and all of a sudden, I hear these young girls yell out, "Daddy, we love your car. Daddy, we love your car." And I'm driving by, and I didn't even know what to say. I said nothing. I gave them a peace sign. That was it. They all started laughing. So 100-Yard Alchemist, welcome to the show. So I've got like these young teenage girls. Right, you. Wait, where's my noise? Hold on. Here we go.
Ew.
Thank you. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but it's true. So these young girls, these young inner city girls are yelling out at this old man driving his car, "Hey, Daddy, we love your car." And I almost went, I'm sitting there driving. I'm like, after a minute, I thought about it. I'm like, I really should go back and lecture them. What the hell are you doing? I'm an old man driving by. That's exactly what it is. They see some old guy driving his nice car by, looking for a sugar daddy. But for crying out loud, you're 16 years old. Go home, say 10 Hail Marys, and stop yelling at old men. It was disgusting. I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I wanted to go back and lecture them, but I'm still creeped out by the, "Hey, Daddy, we love your car." It's like, dudes, what are you doing? Just stop it. Go home. Stop loitering in your neighborhood. So it was disgusting, but still kind of funny. My boys, I told my wife, they were all kind of laughing, but in the same breath, they're like, "Oh, disgusting." So to those girls out there,
Ew.
stop yelling at old men. That's disgusting. Stop it. All right, now this is a story I saw in the news. I'm going through some news headlines. This one I love. Hopefully you guys like this. For those of you coming in, please share my live. Please follow me. Now, this is true. Now, I was looking, I go through Fox News. I go through CNN. I look for a lot of different things as far as, good stories. So I happened to get onto the USA Today, and I saw a couple of funny stories that really cracked me up. I'm going to try to get through this one without laughing. I couldn't read it to my wife and my kids without laughing. But ready? Scientists are potty training cows. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we've gotten to in society. We're pulling people out of Afghanistan. We have COVID-19, a global pandemic. But at this time in the United States, the scientists have determined it's time to start potty training cows. So let me click on this story on my phone. And here's the story. I'll try not to laugh as I go through it. But anyway, it turns out cows can be potty trained as easily as toddlers, much easier. It's no bull. Scientists put I see what they did there. It's no bull. I get that. Very, very funny. That deserves, let me find my button here. That deserves a little bit of a laughter. So there we go. No bull. I get it. So it's no bull. Scientists put the task to a test, and 11 out of 16 cows learned to use ready for this? The moo-loo when they had to go. So I wonder what happened to the other 5 cows. Did they just not want to comply? Were they Republicans? Did they decide that this was the equivalent of Republicans saying to Joe Biden, go fuck yourself about the vaccine? I'm not sure. But anyway, 5 of the cows decided they did not want to use the moo-loo, while the other 11 decided to go to the bathroom and become potty trained cows. So just like some parents, the researchers used a sweet treat to coax the cows to coax the cows to push through a gate and urinate in a special pen. And it took only 15 days to train these young calves. Some kids take quite a bit longer. I know my kids did. I had 3 boys and a girl. I swear to God, my first son, I thought we were going to be dropping him off in college still wearing a diaper. That kid could literally shit his diaper and sit in a dirty diaper for like 3 hours and not tell anybody. He was amazing. And then when we tried to potty train him, he'd hide. He wouldn't do it. We would sit him on the toilet. He would sit there literally for like an hour and not go. And as soon as you put a diaper back on him, he'd hide someplace and take a dump in his diaper. I remember one time we had family over, and he was literally standing behind the couch, and all you could see was his head sticking up. His face was turning all red, and we're all like, dude, what are you doing back there? He's like, nothing. We're like, are you pooping in your diaper? No. All of a sudden you smell like this horrible stink. And obviously he had crapped in his diaper. So yeah, so I guess if these cows are being potty trained pretty quickly, that's pretty impressive. So it says here, these cows are at least as good as children, aged 2 to 4 years, and at least as quick, says study senior author Lindsay Matthews, an animal behavioral scientist at the New Zealand University of Auckland, who worked with colleagues on the tests at an indoor animal research lab in Germany. When started with a half-in-jest question on a New Zealand radio talk show about the very real problem of livestock waste, resulting in a serious study published Monday in the Journal of Current Biology. And it wasn't just a wow, this could be fun academic question. Massive amounts of urine waste and a serious environmental issue were part of the problem, Matthew says. So anyway, you go on and on in this story, but it says, and cows do pee a lot. A single cow can produce about 8 gallons of urine a day. I mean, that's probably the same as a 53-year-old man that drinks too much soda during the day. I think I dropped like 8 gallons of urine in the middle of the night, getting up to go to the bathroom like 9 times over the course of the night, not sleeping. But I mean, just to go on in the story, you keep reading about it and keep reading about it. So I'm not going to go on and read the entire thing. But honest to God, our scientists are literally working on training cows to be potty trained. So if you think back though, AOC said, cow flatulence was one of the biggest problems when it came down to, climate change and all that stuff, right? And every time I mention AOC, I have to kind of have a little bit of a laugh going because she's a moron. But anyway, I mean, cow flatulence is playing into global warming. So I guess if we can finally start to maybe potty train our cows, potty train our bovines, then we will have things figured out. So unbelievable. Now, here's another story for the news I thought was funny. And I like to read some headlines here and there. And honestly, for me, though, this literally scares me. I literally hate alligators. I hate alligators. I hate crocodiles. I hate snakes, and I hate sharks. When you look at alligators, damn it, man, those are dinosaurs. They are scary dinosaurs. They've been around longer than dinosaurs, and they, in my opinion, have no feelings. If they look at you, you are nothing more than a meal. They're coming at you, man, going primal on your ass, and they're looking to eat you. So here it says, there's a story that this happened in Louisiana. The authorities capture and kill an alligator suspected of attacking 71-year-old man in Ida floodwaters, wherever that is. I assume it's an alligator. Or in Louisiana. So it says here, authorities have captured and killed the alligator suspected of attacking a 71-year-old Louisiana man in Hurricane Ida floodwaters 2 weeks ago. All right, now I hadn't read that far ahead, so that makes it even worse. So you never know. You could be like walking down the main street, right? Usually the alligators would be near some body of water. So you probably walk into the local convenience store, want to grab a soda, want to grab whatever. Ooh, secret lover has entered the room. That kind of got me going. Now, you see with my ADD, I get distracted earlier. So, secret lover. Got to give that name a little bit of applause. That kind of got me going. I feel the blood flowing. All right. So anyway, get back on track here. So we're talking about the alligator who basically killed the 71-year-old man in Louisiana. So they found what appears to be human remains in its stomach. So this thing didn't just kill him. This alligator ate his ass, swallowed his ass, and probably half of this guy came out in a bowel movement somewhere in Louisiana. So sheriff's deputies on Monday captured the 12-foot-long, 504-pound alligator near the city of, I don't know how to pronounce this, Slidell, which is across from, here's another one, Lake Pontchartrain from New Orleans, the statement says. This is where Timothy Satterley Sr., 71, attacked by an alligator floodwater on August 30th, a day after the storm hit. Now, I always envision this. Now, tell me if you guys ever think of this stuff. I mean, I'm kind of weird, and I think of weird shit. But describing my junk, absolutely. 12 feet long, or should I say 12 millimeters long. Same difference, but that's kind of the differences that we have here. Definitely not 504 pounds. I may be 504 pounds, but not my penis, unfortunately. So anyway, I dream of this now. I imagine that when you die, your soul gets lifted out of your body, right? Your soul comes out, it goes to heaven, it's heading up there, going up to heaven. And then finally you get to the gates, whatever the gates may be. And I assume there's some type of orderly check-in process. I can't imagine that God is unorganized. I imagine that God probably has a team of workers. They have like a checklist. They know that you're coming in at September 14th at 6:15 p.m. and they're prepared for you. So this poor bastard gets up to heaven, right? He gets up there. He's at the gates, okay? And I don't know who's there. I don't know if it's God, God's assistants, God's workers, whoever they may be, right? But you get there, and there's probably a crowd of people there. I don't know if it's like when you go to the DMV and you have to grab like a ticket, number 75, and they call your number or whatever it is. But there's some type of process, I know. So you get there, you get up there, and you're sitting on a couch next to some other people that just died. Now, I don't know if you can see the trauma on the people, but could you imagine sitting there on the couch, and either A, you're like traumatized by the way you were killed, or B, you're proud as fuck for the way that you went. I mean, imagine one guy going, yeah, I was 80 years old, I got COVID, got a cold, and I died. The guy next to him, yeah, you had a heart attack. The person next to them, Jesus Christ, I was in a car accident, it was horrible, I died. And then all of a sudden you get you coming up there, the 71-year-old man from Louisiana. Fuck all of you. I got eaten by a fucking alligator. And you can imagine the level of respect that hits everyone in that room sitting on those couches would go, man, how did that feel? It fucking sucked. It hurt, but the hurt was enough for me to feel proud of the way I went, to come up here and to be able to tell everybody that I died getting eaten by an alligator. I mean, some ways I think that I know, dude, Jess, you know me, I'm a weird person. I do think of these things honestly. When I have too much time in my hands, I go down weird avenues. But now let's think of some of the ways. Maybe you guys can help me out. What are some of the ways that, if you got to heaven and you were at the gates and you were waiting for God to let you in and you had to brag to the people sitting on the couches next to you, what would be some cool ways to be able to tell people you went? I'm thinking another one, like my parachute didn't open. I was jumping from like 30,000 feet. I pulled the parachute. That thing didn't open, man. I hit that fucking the ground going at like 700 miles an hour. And Spanky, I love Beetlejuice. That movie is friggin' hysterical. That's right. Him sitting on the couch. Remember the whole football team died and they were there in a plane crash and the football player kept calling the woman there, hey coach, what time's the game? And she's like, I'm not your damn coach. You're dead. You died in a bus accident. I love Beetlejuice. That is a great movie. So I see Doss saying death by, what is that? Sanu? Am I not reading that correctly? I don't get it. Sun Tzu. All right, there we go. Yes. Well, that's what's happening in this country right now. We talked about that earlier today on my other show where we're talking about that. Oh, Spanky with beans and weenies. Sex with Tom Brady's wife. You know what, dude? Right there. Hold on. Yep. I mean, can you think of a better way to go? Can you think of a better way than getting up to those pearly gates and you'd still be up there with a damn smile on your face. You'd be sitting there and you'd be like, yeah, I'll go last. Everybody else go first. All right, how did you die? I was having sex with Giselle and my heart gave out. I mean, hopefully you at least get to complete the act of having sex with Giselle before you go. But I would say that if you die and you're in heaven, you're at the gates, and you could tell them, I mean, getting eaten by an alligator is one thing, skydiving, your chute doesn't open, you crash, but literally having sex with Tom Brady's wife, you had a heart attack during sex, and that's how you went. I mean, honest to God, drop the mic, you won. There's nothing else better you can do. I mean, and you know how my mind works. I mean, now that we're thinking about Tom Brady, I'm not talking football, but I've got a very personal story to tell you. I don't even know if I should share this. This is kind of weird that I'm going to tell you this, but I was, as I've told you a million times, just let me pat myself on the back a few more times. Yes, I played college football. I was on full scholarship.
Ew.
There's my daughter saying, Dad, stop bragging. But anyway, because of that, I have a lot of friends in the media. Okay. So a lot of friends, there's sportscasters. One of my best friends is a sportscaster. And when you think about Tom Brady, I mean, honestly, when you look at his life, all right, he's 6'5", 200 and whatever he is, super handsome. I'm not gay, but I would probably either go gay for him or Ryan Reynolds. I'm not sure which of the two I would switch for, but one of the two probably. But Tom Brady, super handsome, best quarterback to ever play the game, like one of the most manly things you can do, right? Women love him, men love him, 7 Super Bowl championships. I mean, he's so perfect. It almost makes you sick. I mean, he says the right thing all the time, okay? So, that being said, I do have a good friend who's in the media. I will not mention his name, but if you're not familiar with media people, they're allowed to go into the locker rooms after games. And I've done this myself because for a while I was thinking about being a sportscaster. I would go in and get sound and put the microphone in front of players' faces and get sound for radio shows. So when you go in to the Red Sox locker room, Patriots locker room, whatever, you go in and a lot of times players are naked. And if they're coming out of the shower, some wrap towels around them, other ones do not. So let me be clear when I say that if you think Tom Brady is handsome, rich, a great quarterback, a great football player, a 7-time champion who's married to Giselle, and his talents end there, they do not. From what I was told, Mr. Brady has a third arm, and he is packing some serious heat down south of the border. So if there are any questions about Tom Brady, he was gifted in every single way. Now, for me, they gave me good looks. They gave me intelligence. They gave me all these positive qualities that I obviously possess. And you can all see that, the people that come into my show. But unfortunately, for me, when they were giving out penises in heaven, I was first in line. It was amazing. I was first in line. I heard penises, and I was like, fuck, right to that line. I could have gone intelligence first, but when I heard penises, right there, right? So I'm first in line in heaven, waiting for them to hand my penis out to me. And of course, like any man, women may not want giant penises, but men all want them. So I'm in line and I'm like, I'm going to get the biggest goddamn penis I can find. I don't know if you can pick them off a shelf. I don't know if you can, somehow virtual reality design your penis and have a 3D printer make it. I mean, in heaven, they have all the technology, right? So I was thinking about, I'm in front of that line for penises in heaven. So I'm there. The guy opens the door and I'm looking like, yes, I am here. I want something special, was my first comment. But then I found out that the rules of heaven were, if you're first in line, you do, in fact, have to hold the door for everybody else. So I watched as every other person ushered in front of me. And after the 5,000 people that actually went in front of me, I was able finally to get in line after holding that door. And when I get in there was no more special orders. There was no more tailor-fit penises for your body. I got to take what was left over. And let me tell you, the selection was not impressive. So that's what I ended up with. I ended up with this tiny little penis on this big, giant body. And I mean, it's kind of embarrassing, quite frankly. I mean, I was hoping to measure it in feet or at least maybe double-digit inches. And I am in double-digit, but unfortunately, more likely double-digit millimeters, unfortunately. So it's unfortunate that I have to prepare my wife. I had to prepare my wife and say, again, I may be big, but don't let the body size make you take any inferences about the size of my penis. So, that's what it is. All right, not true. I mean, it's not that small, but well, it's kind of small, but it is what it is.
Ew.
Oh, Caitlin, I'm sorry. I know you keep hearing your dad talking about his penis now, and that's why I can't have you on the show anymore. I see Flying Ham says, my wife says it's the motion of the ocean, not the size of the boat. I say that many Maybe, but it takes a long time. It takes a long time to get to England in a rowboat. That's outstanding. I love that. Oh my God. Where's my fucking laugh button? I lost it. It's on a different screen. Hold on. Let me switch over. It may be late, but whatever. Okay, where the fuck is it? Boomer moment here. Can't find the laugh button. Let's see if the old guy can figure out his road podcaster. I can't even say the name correctly. There we go. The boomer found it. Congratulations, old man. Well done. Get those reading glasses on and find the right button. So I don't know. But anyway, so those are a couple stories that I thought were funny today. Alligator eaten. Well, not really funny. Not funny for the guy that got eaten. And but a 71-year-old man eaten by an alligator in Louisiana. And of course, our amazing scientists are teaching cows to be potty trained. I mean, very, very important stuff. And I imagine that those things, especially the potty training of the cows, please do. Steal away. Let's see what else we have here. Fast forwarding ahead. Top pumpkin patches in the U.S. I don't give a fuck about that. Eat less, exercise more. I'm in the middle of that right now. Okay, this one is kind of, I know we're all sick of hearing about this, but did you see a judge in New York blocked a mandate on vaccinations? Welcome, Netan. You're coming in at a very interesting time to the show. But a judge in New York blocked a New York mandate on vaccinations for healthcare workers and COVID issues. So for me, I've been seeing all these healthcare workers walking off the line right now for work. I mean, I know I talked about this morning and again on yesterday, but for those of you that are new into my show this afternoon, there was a hospital in upstate New York that has a maternity ward. And the maternity ward literally had to shut down delivering babies because they didn't have any nurses to work. So can you imagine that? Can you imagine? I've got some women in here. Could you imagine if you were having a baby, right? And you get comfortable with your doctor, you're comfortable with your hospital, and then all of a sudden you find out that they shut down the entire maternity ward. So now these people have to find different places to deliver their babies. And this is because so many nurses are refusing to get vaccinated. So I don't know. As I've talked about before, I've gotten vaccinated. My wife's gotten vaccinated. My 4 children have gotten vaccinated. We support the vaccination movement, even though I'm a Republican. Hey, Tacos, welcome to the show. But I firmly believe that the government has no right to tell any of us what we do with our body. Just like when we talk about abortion, my body, my choice, I think that the government is way overstepping their boundaries if they are trying to force people to get a vaccine and have it mandated. I agree completely, Flying Ham. It should be a personal choice. And I understand that people are concerned about those that aren't vaccinated. Now, it was funny. I got into a little discussion yesterday, as I always do, because I can never shut my damn mouth. But my father, who's almost 81 years old, he has dementia, and we went to the heart doctor. He was in the emergency room like 3 weeks ago or a month ago, and he had his legs were swelling, and they were worried about his heart. So I brought him into the cardiologist yesterday, and when we got in there, I didn't have a mask. My father didn't have a mask, and everybody in the doctor's office had masks. So I grabbed a mask, and I said to the woman behind the counter, just being an asshole, I put my mask on, and I'm like, this is the only place I will wear a mask. I won't wear them in stores. I won't wear them anywhere. I'm very vocal about it. But I was nice. So she looked at me and she said, well, what about the people who are unvaccinated? And I said, well, I'm vaccinated. So for me, if they chose not to get vaccinated and that turns out to be a problem, they've made their choice. But for me, I've done what I've been asked to do, even though, for a long time, I didn't believe it was the right thing to do. And again, I am never here to judge anybody. If anyone here thinks it's not right for them, don't take the fucking shot. You shouldn't do it. In my family alone, my wife and I have had no symptoms. My 4 children have had no symptoms, but that's not to say that someone in your family or you won't have serious consequences from taking the vaccine. It's unproven. We don't know if this thing works or not. Tacos, welcome back. Why'd you leave in the first place, Tacos? Don't leave me, brother. Come on. You got to stay here. I like tacos, too. Of course, I don't like hard shell tacos. I like soft shell tacos. The hard shells kind of annoy me a little bit. So anyway, I'm glad you're back. So, Wi-Fi. Yeah, I get that. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so I have the same issue. So let me look through some more stories here. This is, again, scientists potty train cows to use the Mulu. I love that name. I think I'm going to trademark that name, the Mulu. I think that's fantastic. Okay, so now this is one that kind of annoys me. We just went through September 11th, and I did a brief mention of September 11th the other day on my show. But can you believe the guy, like the mastermind of 9/11? I mean, this was fucking 20 years ago. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed still hasn't been convicted after 20 years. We've got this guy in a prison someplace, and we know that this guy masterminded the September 11th attacks. Why the fuck is this guy still alive? I mean, kill him. Put him in life for prison. Give him the electric chair, or better yet, put him in a plane and fly him directly into the ground. I mean, kill the guy. Get rid of him. Send him down to New Orleans and let him get eaten by an alligator. Send him to where they're teaching cows to potty train and tie him down on the ground and let the cows shit and pee on him. I mean, do something to this guy instead of letting this scumbag live after 20 years. So I don't get that. That makes no sense to me. So another story here, kind of sad. Apparently a California couple with 5 kids die of COVID-19 before naming their newborn. That sucks. That's a sad story. I can't imagine what it's going to be like for those 5 kids to have their parents pass as they're little. I mean, I've got 4 kids, and that's always been one of the scariest things I've had to deal with, is always worrying about, what happens to my children if we don't make it? What happens to my children if we happen to die before they're ready to move on their own? So that's always a very scary thing, a very sad story. So let's see. No, already got to go. I have to go out. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. Hey, if you're having trouble with your Wi-Fi, those things happen, brother. So don't worry about it. But I am hearing a lot of things. And honestly, at some point, I'm going to have my wife come on. I know a lot of you have heard my wife before, Dr. Cheryl DeVito. She is a DO. She's a family practice physician. And she's been working in the COVID tents, and she's been doing all these different types of things, to help people with COVID. And I know a lot of people, doubt whether or not COVID's real, whatever. But I can tell you that whatever this thing is, whether it's an advanced form of the flu, whether it's legitimately different, and we've got this COVID-19 pandemic, I do believe that's the case. But I mean, who knows with what's going on and all of Fauci's connections to the lab in Wuhan. But I can say right now, the number of COVID cases right now at this time compared to last year are much, much worse. And my wife is predicting that we're going to probably have another shutdown sometime late into the fall, maybe around Thanksgiving time. I mean, I hope to God it doesn't happen. I'm sure I feel the same way that all of you feel. I am so done. I mean, is anybody else in here just exhausted? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I don't want to deal with COVID anymore. I've just kind of had it. And I'm ready for this whole thing to be over. But it just seems like there's no end to this. And I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but to me, it depresses me. It's like this whole world has kind of gone to shit over the last, year and a half, and especially these last 9 months. I know there are people that come in that like Joe Biden, but I mean, in my opinion, this guy's an absolute friggin' train wreck. The guy's a nightmare. And one of the things I've been seeing, the last week or so, which is really crazy, is you look at the CNNs, you look at the MSNBCs, you look at the ABCs and the NBCs, these, Democratic spin machines. They are now starting to part ways with Joe Biden. They're starting to part ways with him. I think you're right. I think you're right there, Spanky. I think that if we do this again, we're going to have some problems. We're going to have people who are depressed. We're going to have people who are suicidal. We're going to see people really snapping if we lock down again. And I'm really concerned for our country and the world if that happens again. But we've got this president that no one has confidence in. And did you see again recently? He had another press briefing or whatever the fuck it was, and he was up talking, and he was rambling on again, doing his dementia Joe thing, and he was rambling along, and literally the press corps or the White House shut off his microphone feed again. I mean, have you ever seen a president that has the White House shutting off his microphone feed as often as they do with this guy? I mean, it's crazy, right? You're right. I think the ice cream is smarter than he is. I mean, the guy is he's crazy. I mean, he's crazy. He's demented, in my opinion. But if you look back on Joe Biden and you look back on his career, I mean, he's got a history of not being a good guy. He's got a history of being horrible to women, horrible to minorities. He has a history of being a racist. I saw an interview. Someone posted this on TikTok last night. This was incredible. Joe Biden was 29 years old, young guy, and someone was interviewing him. Apparently, he had just been elected into Congress, and someone was interviewing him saying, hey, you had a meteoric rise to becoming, winning the Congress seat. We're so happy to have you. It's good to have a fresh person in here to govern us. And it's going to be nice to have someone here that isn't corrupt. Joe Biden looked at him and said, what gives you the assumption that I'm not corrupt? Who answers a question like that? Who would ever answer a question if you're a congressman and someone's saying that you're not corrupt to come back and say to the person interviewing you, well, I might very well be corrupt. I mean, holy crap. But I mean, that is the problem. We've all talked about the problems we have in our government. They're dividing and conquering us. They're looking to separate us. We have so much corruption from top to bottom in our government. We really need a redo. We need, I remember playing kickball in elementary school, and we would always come in and we'd do new lineup when you wanted to put the good hitters at the top of your lineup. TS, welcome to the show, brother or sister. I'm not sure which you are, but welcome regardless. But I think that's what we need. We need a new lineup. We need a new president. We need new Congress people. We need new state reps. We need new mayors. We need new governors. We need new everything. We need to get the big broom out of the big vacuum, get all these clowns out of Washington, and then put in there real people that get 1 4-year term and maybe a second 4-year term. So a total of 8 years. That's all you can serve. You're done. And instead of getting paid $300,000 a year, you get maybe $50,000 to $75,000 a year. Instead of getting a lifetime pension once you get out, get Social Security like the rest of the country gets. Instead of getting this unbelievable health care that only politicians and very wealthy get, let's put them on Medicare, and that's what they get for their health benefits. So for me, if we get these people and we get rid of these rich people who are sandbagging Washington for their own benefit, and we get real people in there that want to make a difference, that aren't in there, to make hundreds of $millions with donations from corporate vendors and things like that, then we would have a real government that's working for the people. But I mean, man, what we have right now, I can imagine. Could you imagine, again, going back up to that room in heaven? Now, this time we're not at the gates because these guys have been in for a while. But imagine if you're in the VIP lounge in heaven, right? You're sitting there drinking some whiskey, high-end whiskey, smoking a really nice cigar, hanging out oak walls, this beautiful place. And you got Benjamin Franklin, you got George Washington, you got John Adams, you got Lincoln, you got all the legends of America that formed this country, Thomas Jefferson, all these guys. And they're sitting back thinking, look at the United States. Look at what we wrote. We gave them the Constitution. We gave them the Declaration of Independence. We gave them all these documents. So we would protect them forever living in a country that has a tyrannical government like the UK did with America. And, look down at what's happening. I mean, we are dealing with exactly right now what they tried to protect us from. And I think the only way that we're going to get out from underneath this rock is if we start standing up and resisting now. And welcome to the show there, HT Wam Wasa Moa, whatever the fuck that says. But welcome to the show. Glad to have you. And feel free to mention any comments you may have down in the chat if you would like. And also, if you're new coming into my show, please follow my show and please share my live. I would really appreciate that if you get the chance. If you've already done it, don't feel like you have to do it again. But if you're new and you'd like to share my live, I would really appreciate that. So anyway, those are the things going on in the world right now. I mean, the world's crazy. Things are upside down. But the one positive that I've seen so far is that the NFL is back. We had football this weekend. And as you all know, I am a New England Patriots fan. Tom Brady, of course, left us for Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl last year. But for me this year, we've got Alabama's own Mac Jones, who came out and did an amazing job as quarterback for the New England Patriots this past week. And it gives people in New England a reason to look up. So we're kind of excited about Mac Jones. We're kind of excited about the New England Patriots. Now, do we have any other football fans in here? If so, I'm kind of curious what teams you root for. Do you think that your team's going to have a good season this year? And if you're not from the United States, a different country, maybe you're a soccer or, football fan. But I'm kind of curious if we have any football fans in here, American football, and, who you're rooting for. So, all right, there we go. New England. Yeah, I think New England's going to be decent. They're not going to win the Super Bowl this year. Dude, Sean, what's up? But, yeah, the Patriots are not going to win the Super Bowl this year. But I think probably it's going to be a repeat of last year's Super Bowl. I could see Tampa Bay and Kansas City going back again. And honestly, I don't know that Mahomes can beat Brady if they get back there again. I think if those two teams face each other again, then we may see another victory for Tom Brady in his 8th ring. I mean, it's just crazy. Oh, Jess Duck, you're a Broncos fan. I actually picked the tight end for the Broncos on my fantasy team this week. I can't think of his name. He's got like a really long, crazy name, but I picked him and he did pretty well for my fantasy team this week. Now, Jess, I think I've asked you before, where do you live again? Are you in the Denver area? And if so, have you listened to my buddy? I think I've mentioned him before on the show a few times. My best friend growing up in New Hampshire is Mike Evans. So if you listen to KFan in Denver, the sports station in Denver, Mike is on the morning show. He's the morning drive sportscaster. He's been out there for like 15 years. He was my best man. I was his best man. So we literally saw each other up in Rangeley, Maine, back this summer. We're on a text chain together. I mean, literally best friends from kindergarten. He's your morning drive sports guy out in Denver. And it's kind of funny. He's a big Patriots fan. And but he's learned, I think, to very much appreciate the Broncos over the years, and also obviously all the Denver teams because he's been living out there for so long now. But back in the day, I don't know if you would ever listen to K-Fan probably 5 or 6 years ago when Peyton Manning was still playing. Mike couldn't really say any negative things about the Broncos. So he would literally call me and get me on the air on his morning show in Denver. And I was John from New England. I quickly became one of the most hated people in the Denver area. After the show was over, he would send me all these texts of people saying, F that guy, why'd you let him on? He'd be at remotes out at bars, and he'd take pictures of people flipping me the middle finger and texting them over to me. So it's great. Yeah, but if you get a chance, if you're in Denver, check out K-Fan some morning. And when you hear Mike Evans, he's literally my best friend. So he's really good at what he does and a great guy and from New Hampshire. He comes back to the area, every summer, and he's got 2 kids, and his daughter just went to Syracuse. She wants to be a sportscaster like he does, but good family. And I've known this guy forever. He's a great guy, and I'm really proud of him because we were actually roommates after college for a while in the Boston area. And he, for a very brief amount of time, thought about giving up broadcasting because he, 2 radio stations went under. He got let go from another job, and then finally he had an opportunity to move to Dallas. And he didn't know if he wanted to do it. He thought about getting a typical job. And I remember he and I sitting down and talking, and we talked about him. I'm like, buddy, this is your dream. Keep going after it. Go get it. So he ended up moving to Dallas, working for some nationwide network, and then got hired in Denver. And he's been on a lot of different shows. He was in the afternoon. He was a sports flash guy. But finally, he got the gig of being the morning drive guy, and he's doing really, really well. So if you ever listen to sports radio and you call into the Mike Evans show, mention my name, Jon DiVito, and I'm sure he'll be like, oh, my God, John, my buddy. We hung out all summer together, and it was good to see him. So listen, anyway, guys, I want to do a quick 40-minute show. We're at that time now. I want to thank everybody that came in. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you had fun in my show today. If you liked it, please follow me. Please share my live. And this will also be available via download and all the podcasting platforms. So I want to thank everybody that came in. Love you all. Now that the fall's here, I'm going to be on more often because my children are back in school. My job's settling down a little bit. And I'm going to be on again. For if any of you guys are up, I'm going to be on tomorrow at 7:20 a.m. Eastern time. I know for my West Coast people, that might be kind of brutal. But I'm actually, no, let me rephrase. Was it 7:20? No, I can't remember what time it is, but I'm going to be on early in the morning tomorrow. It might actually be 6:20. I think I have to do it before my other son goes to school. So I'll be on early. But if you don't get a chance to come in early, check me out on download, and then I may be on again tomorrow afternoon. So for all you guys, I love you. Thank you for tuning in, and I will be back soon. And I'll be trying to tune into some of your shows as well. So take care and have a great day, everybody. Love you all now. Oops, that was me. Pardon me. Oh, man. Oh, is that a picture of Joe Biden naked? Oh, excuse me. Oh, my God. All right. Love you all. Take care now. I love that laugh.